Shaun, I'm hoping we can go to page 1 of your script for A California Christmas. And I'm curious what you like about the opening scene of the movie, which is page 1, of course.
Yeah, so the opening is obviously, it's meant to establish Joseph's character, played by Josh Swickard. And he's kind of living this playboy lifestyle, big city, wealthy. Obviously, he's got someone in bed. And, he's young and he's kind of using his obviously his status to kind of live carefree in that way. So basically the point of it is to set up his character and for his arc throughout the story. Because obviously he needs to grow. He's not the best of guys at this point. And so it's really, I think it helps illustrate that point. It sets up who he is and the journey he's going to have to go on, whether he likes it or not, is the idea. Obviously, you won't know all of that while seeing this first scene, but it sets it up of who he is and where he is at this point in his life.
And he's not a total jerk. He offers to buy the woman room service.
Yes.
So you got to give him some props. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Again, I think those little details is that we don't want people to just completely hate him right off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. And we did have some other things in early versions and stuff that were like, yeah, that might make him too much of a jerk, Certainly, there's an argument there that he's still a jerk, but you know what I'm saying. Like, he has to have some underlying qualities and redeemable pieces that you want to see him go on a journey of growth and self-growth and becoming hopefully a better person.
So before we meet Joseph, the main character, we have this aerial shot. Can we talk about the establishing image?
Yeah, so the very first shot is kind of coming up off the water and revealing San Francisco, which is, that's where he is and where his family business is. So kind of just establishing that Bay Area and the big city and the hustle and bustle of city life, because it is a obviously stark contrast to the ranch that he later goes to and ends up spending a lot of time. And we also did some interesting things in color there. So the city life has a little bit cooler of tones to them. And when we go to the ranch, everything becomes a little bit warmer and earthier in the tones. So that's like a little, kind of little details that we pay attention to when we're making it. Probably most people will never notice it, but even with that opening shot, we wanted the color palette of it to feel cooler in tone versus the later part of the movie.
And also, too, he leaves kind of like one woman in a hotel room, and then as he leaves, he kind of flirts with a desk clerk or something, you see her sort of fall, not unprofessionally, but so it already sets him up to be sort of this Casanova type.
Correct. Yes. Right. Yeah. He's definitely got that air about him, and you get the sense that
he doesn't hear no a lot.
He doesn't hear no a lot. It's that hashtag best life thing, right? He's living his best life, but anyways, obviously there's more to it than that, and at his core, he's searching for more.
Sure. What do you think the hook is of the first page that makes people want to keep reading?
It goes beyond just the first page, I guess, but the hook of the first page is really the kind of setting and the character. Like, for me, when I read it, I wanted to know more about him, So it's really like, why is he this way? Like, what makes him... and especially because he's kind of outright just turns the girl down for a second date, like right there, it makes you go, wow, that's audacious. Like what is his story? So hopefully that's the hook. That was for me when I read it, because I didn't write this, Lauren Swickard did, and when I was sent it, that's what grabbed me right away.
And I think he says kind of like, I'll call you or whatever. And she's like,
she says, no, you won't. Yeah, exactly. That little piece right there, I'm like, okay. And the fact that he can get away with that. I think there's probably plenty of people who go, well, I wouldn't be able to get away with that. Or, those kinds of things. It makes it intriguing. And of course, you see that the relationship walking through the hotel lobby, the people like him, and he's got that thing about him, his charm, his charisma. always makes it more interesting. And I think even in the back of my head, was even initially, even right away thinking, oh, he's going to have some lessons to learn. You know what I mean? Like he's probably going to have to go on a journey,
And sorry, he's brought in to be, and I hope this isn't a spoiler, to be like a honeypot, to kind of like infiltrate and seduce someone that he needs a signature from?
So basically his company and his mother who runs the company, they haven't been able to get the owners of this ranch to sell, which they need to build a shipping facility for their corporation, their business. And so his mom decides that her son basically doesn't really do anything. He's got a title and works at the company, but what does he actually do? So she recognized he has a certain skill, and it is a younger woman who owns the ranch. And so she says, let's put your actual skills to use. Go out there and get this girl to sell. Get this young woman to sell. And so I think he thinks he's going to be able to waltz in there and get his way and get the yes that he always hears. And I can say it doesn't go as he had planned.
Sure. So, and his arc evolves from there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's some case of missing identity as well, or misidentity misidentity that happens for him as well in there. That kind of starts him down a totally different journey that he thought he was going to be going on.
So looking back on it now, what mistakes do you think were there in the first page, or was this the actual shooting script and there were no mistakes?
Well, this is definitely not the first version of the script for sure. So this is closer to the shooting. I can't remember if what I sent you is the actual shooting one. And gosh, it's hard to remember if there was. I think there was more time taken in earlier drafts, which I think it took too long to get to those pieces. And it's, of course, not even just the first page, but that was part of it. So I think it got more refined and kind of picked the moments that actually mattered to convey the message that we're trying to convey.
Is this still the opening of the movie?
Yes, this is still the opening of the movie.
Right.
So yeah, it stayed, and obviously I think it's important again because we have to establish our character's journey. His character, so Joseph and also Callie, they both have their journeys, and they kind of, their journeys intersect, and that's what they help each other on their journey. So that's kind of the age-old kind of love twist there. Their journeys intersect, and of course they need each other to kind of complete their journey.